Imagine you're walking through, say, an art gallery. You turn a corner, and you're expecting maybe a landscape, a portrait, something peaceful.
Hmm.
Instead, you're confronted with this painting of a woman holding a severed head.
Okay.
And it's not just any head, it's her own head. There's blood, there are skulls around her. She has this wild look in her eyes, maybe a weapon in her hand.
Right.
Just be honest. What's your immediate gut level reaction to that?
Well, if you're like most people, your nervous system just screams, danger.
Yeah.
You recoil. You think, this is dark, this is violent. You might even think this is evil.
Exactly. I'm backing away slowly toward the exit. I am definitely not thinking, oh, what a lovely depiction of spiritual enlightenment. I'm thinking, this looks satanic. And that is the massive, the elephant-sized question we are wrestling with today. Is Tantra, this ancient spiritual system that uses all this terrifying imagery, is it actually a form of devil worship?
It's a question that has persisted for centuries. And today, to answer it, we're not going to look at, dusty theology books or listen to a priest.
Huh.
We're going to look at the mechanics of the spirit through the eyes of a very specific and very unusual source.
We're diving into the world of Osman, who is known as the blind Muslim yogi. And I have to stop you right there. Muslim yogi just feels like a contradiction in terms, doesn't it?
It does sound paradoxical, but that is exactly why his perspective is so valuable. Osman isn't looking at this through a traditional Hindu religious lens. He's a bioenergy healer.
A bioenergy healer.
Yeah, he specializes in critical care and terminal illness. He's been practicing yoga for 50 years, and he claims to have mastered things like telepathic healing.
He also claims to have been entering samadhi, that state of total spiritual absorption, since he was 19.
Right.
So the premise here is that we aren't listening to a scholar just speculating on old texts. We're listening to a guy who claims to be a kind of cosmic plumber. He says he's traveled to these realms, he's checked the pipes, and he knows how the water flows.
Precisely. He treats spirituality like a technology. And his whole argument is that our fear of Tantra, that satanic label, is based on a fundamental error in how we process visual data.
An error.
Yeah, he calls it the spoon fallacy.
Okay, let's unpack the spoon fallacy, because to me, if something looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Sure.
If a ritual looks like a demon and it's holding an axe like a demon, surely it's demonic. Why is Osman saying my eyes are lying to me?
Well, he starts by giving us a bit of a history lesson. He takes us back to the British occupation of India.
Okay.
You have these Victorian English officers arriving, with their crisp uniforms and their very Christian sensibilities. They see a statue of the goddess Kali tongue out, garland of skulls standing on a body.
And they naturally freak out.
They absolutely freak out. They judged it entirely on aesthetics. They applied the logic of physical objects to metaphysical concepts,
Right.
Osman says. If it looks like a spoon and works like a spoon, it is a spoon. That works for cutlery.
Of course.
But in spirituality, the surface image is often a code for a deeper function. The British saw the scary face and just assumed evil function. They labeled it black magic.
But Osman doesn't deny that the scary stuff exists, right? I mean, I was reading the notes and he explicitly talks about the 64 yoginis and rituals involving decapitation. He even mentions using dead bodies.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't try to gaslight us and say, oh, it's all just metaphorical rainbows.
No, he is brutally honest.
Mm-hmm.
He admits that in certain extreme, very specific traditions, things like decapitating a corpse with family permission, mind you, actually happened.
See, that's where I get stuck. You can tell me it's a spoon fallacy all you want, but if I walk in on someone chopping the head off a corpse, I'm calling the police.
I think we all are.
And then I'm calling an exorcist. How does he argue that that isn't dark energy?
This is the pivot point of the entire deep dive.
Yeah.
This is the key. Osman argues that you cannot judge the practice by the wallpaper. You have to judge it by the elevator shaft.
The elevator shaft?
You have to ask, what is the direction of the energy?
The direction.
Yes. Does the practice move consciousness up or does it move it down? Because according to Osman, satanic isn't a style, it's a location.
A location.
And to understand that, we have to look at his map of the cosmos.
Okay, lay out the map, because I think most of us just assume it's heaven up top, hell down below, and, us in the middle.
That's the basic idea. But Osman adds a basement level that you rarely hear about in your local yoga studio.
A basement?
We all know the 7 chakras, right? From the root at the base of the spine up to the crown at the top of the head.
Yeah, red light at the bottom, purple light at the top. Standard stuff.
Osman says there are 7 chakras below the root.
Subroot chakras, what does that even mean?
Exactly. 7 levels of consciousness that exist below the frequency of, say, human survival. And this is where the lower worlds are accessed.
Ah.
This is where he places the entities we would call demons, the asuras, the rakshasas, the bhutas, which are ghosts, and the pisachas.
So the satanic realm is literally the sub-basement of the human energy system.
Yes. And here's the part that I found fascinatingly bizarre. Osman doesn't describe these demons as, like, mindless monsters screaming in the dark.
Right.
He describes them as a society.
I laughed out loud at that part. He says they have communities, they have factions.
They have political problems.
The idea of demons having a city council meeting about zoning laws is just, it breaks my brain a little bit.
It humanizes the concept of evil in a really strange way.
Yeah.
He says they're intelligent beings living in a lower frequency. They have disputes, they have wars, they have leaders.
Wow.
And here is where Osman's credentials as a healer come in. He claims that when he treats people who are possessed or suffering from black magic curses, he actually has to go there.
Wait, he voluntarily goes to the demon basement.
He says he lowers his consciousness through those subroot portals to act as a kind of diplomat. He bargains. He makes deals to get the entities to leave his patient alone.
That is a terrifying image, the diplomat of the underworld. But this distinction is crucial for his argument about Tantra, isn't it?
It is the entire argument. Osman defines black magic or satanic ritual as the act of deliberately dialing down into those subroot chakras to bargain with those lower entities for power or material gain.
So if you aren't dialing down, you aren't doing the satanic stuff.
Exactly. And Osman insists that real Tantra, never, ever touches those down buttons. Tantra is a machine designed exclusively to go up.
Okay, so let's look at the up button, because this is where we need to reconcile the scary images. We've established that Tantra uses goddesses who look terrifying, holding severed heads, wearing skulls.
Right.
Osman says these figures map directly to the chakras in the body.
This is the aha moment. He maps the Mahavidyas, the wisdom goddesses, to the human spine. And when you see where they sit and what they do, the scary imagery suddenly makes, well, mechanical sense.
Let's walk through this list. I really want to understand the logic here.
Yeah.
He starts at the foundation, right? The root chakra.
Right, the Muladhara. He maps this to the Devi Kamalatmika.
Mm-hmm.
She represents grace and material well-being.
Okay.
So the very first step on the tantric ladder is grounded, positive, and stable. You're not starting in the mud. You're starting on the ground floor.
Then we move up to the sacral chakra.
Associated with Matangi. She's the goddess of arts, music, and spoken knowledge.
Solar plexus.
Bagalamukhi. She's often invoked to paralyze enemies. But internally, this is the center of will. It's about paralyzing the internal enemies. Fear, doubt, hesitation.
Okay, now we get to the heart chakra. And this one confused me. He places Dhumavati here. Now, Dhumavati is depicted as an old, ugly widow.
Yeah.
She's associated with smoke, with the void, with bad luck. Why on earth would you put the ugly widow in the heart, which is supposed to be all about love and connection?
It does seem counterintuitive, doesn't it? But think about the depth of the heart. It isn't just about, fluffy, happy love.
Right.
The heart is also the vessel for grief, for loss, for the vast emptiness of compassion. Dhumavati represents the void, the silence that comes after everything else is gone.
So by placing her at the heart.
Contra is saying that to truly love, you must be able to hold space for that void. You have to be comfortable with loss.
So she's not there to curse you. She's there to deepen the capacity of the container.
Exactly. It turns the image of the widow from a symbol of bad luck into a tool for emotional maturity.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, next up is the throat chakra. And this is the one that freaks people out the most. Chinnamasta.
The self-decapitated goddess.
She is literally holding her own severed head, and there are 3 streams of blood spurting out of her neck. How is that higher intelligence? That just looks like a slasher film.
It's the ultimate visual metaphor for the mind. The throat is the center of speech and expression. But what blocks truth? The ego. The rational, chattering intellect. The head. Chinnamasta represents the act of self-sacrifice where you cut off the ego mind to allow the energy, the blood, to feed the higher consciousness.
So an axe isn't a weapon of murder. It's a surgical tool.
It's a liberation.
Yeah.
She is showing you. To speak the ultimate truth, you must lose your head.
I guess lose your ego doesn't paint quite as dramatic a picture. Okay, moving up. The third eye.
Bharavi. The fire of tapas, or intense spiritual heat and intuition.
And finally, the opening at the top of the head. The Braharandra.
Bhuvaneshwari. Osman describes this as the bridge. the space creator. This is the hatch that opens to let the consciousness leave the physical body and enter the ethereal worlds.
So if I'm following Osman's logic, you have this vertical ladder. Every rung is occupied by a goddess. Some look nice, some look scary, but all of them are station masters on a train heading north.
Correct. And that is why he concludes, Tantra cannot be satanic. The satanic line, that subroot connection, is a completely different phone number.
Right.
You can't accidentally dial the demons by praying to Chinnamasta, because Chinnamasta lives on the 5th floor, not in the basement.
It's an argument of energetic anatomy.
It is. He calls it the higher worldly order. He emphasizes that these devas are higher intelligences. Just as the demons are lower intelligences with their own communities, the devas are complex entities that exist to pull you up.
But Osman doesn't stop at the top of the head. He talks about going beyond the body.
He does.
And this is where the terminology gets a little dense, so help us out here. He talks about samadhi.
Right. So think of samadhi as the moment the software of your individual personality crashes and reboots into the universal operating system. It's a state of complete absorption.
Okay. He mentions 2 types, savikalpa and nirvikalpa. What's the difference?
Imagine a block of ice floating in water. In savikalpa samadhi, the ice is melting. It's mostly water, but there's still a tiny little chunk of ice left. A tiny sense of, I am experiencing this bliss.
Got it.
Osman maps this state to the goddess Tripura Sundari.
And nirvikalpa.
The ice is gone. It's just water.
Yeah.
There is no I left to say I am happy. There's only the happiness itself, total non-dual absorption. He maps this to Tara.
And then he describes the ultimate peak, the origination point of everything, the state beyond existence and non-existence.
Yes, the absolute void from which, say, the Big Bang would emerge.
And who sits on that throne?
Mahakali.
Which is just the ultimate irony. We started this with the British shaking in their boots because they saw Kali and thought she was the devil.
Right.
And Osman is saying, no, she represents the highest, purest, most absolute state of reality possible.
It completely inverts the narrative.
Yeah.
The image that looks the most demonic to the uninitiated I Mahakali is actually the representative of the state beyond all suffering, beyond all form.
Wow.
It is the ultimate peace.
It really exposes how superficial our judgment can be. We want spirituality to look like a Hallmark card.
We do.
We want it sanitized. We want soft light and harps.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
But Osman is reminding us that the universe is a high-voltage environment. The basement is messy, sure, but the penthouse is intense too.
Yeah.
Real power, the power to transcend existence. It doesn't look pretty. It looks like an axe cutting through illusion.
It reminds me of what you said earlier about the healer's bargain. Osman goes into the sewers to help people, but he knows where he lives.
Exactly.
He's like a cosmic plumber who knows that just because he fixes the toilet doesn't mean he lives in it.
That's a perfect way to put it. He manages the darkness, he doesn't worship it, and he uses the technology of Tantra to climb out of it.
So we've gone from the Victorian officers judging the spoon, down into the demon basement with the zoning laws, up the spine, through the widow and the headless woman, all the way to the edge of existence.
It's been quite a trip.
And it leaves me with one final question for you and for everyone listening.
What's that?
It's about this idea of the middle world. Osman describes the lower worlds of the demons and the higher worlds of the devas. Both have communities, intelligences, wars, agendas. And here we are, humanity, sandwiched right in the middle.
We are the filling in the cosmic Oreo.
Exactly. So, if the demons are having their political struggles downstairs and the gods are maintaining their higher order upstairs, how much of what we call human history is just spillover?
That is a provocative thought. Are our wars, our sudden inspirations, our moods, are they ours? Or are we just the battleground where these two vast, invisible civilizations push against each other?
Maybe we're just hearing the neighbors arguing through the floorboard.
Or the music coming from the rooftop party?
I definitely prefer the rooftop party.
Me too.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Keep looking past the spoon and maybe check which way your elevator is moving.
Indeed. Focus on the function, not just the form.
Catch you on the next deep dive.
Yeah.